I cannot be the only one who reads the parable of the 10 bridesmaids. I'm using the word bridesmaids so I don't get banned. And you can hear in the back of your mind somebody, probably from your childhood, telling you that the wise bridesmaids were mean. Maybe not saying that in so many words, but definitely in actions. And is it possible that that misunderstanding of the scripture might be the reason you overeat? So here's the rundown of the parable of the 10 bridesmaids. In Jesus's time, when there was a wedding, it was more like things went out by word of mouth. And the groom arrived at the bride's house just like when he got there, around the time people were told to get there, but it wasn't an exact time. He arrived when he arrived. Clocks weren't a big thing at that point. So it was the job of the bridesmaids to wait for the groom's arrival. And if he arrived at night, they were supposed to have these lamps lit to help him find his way in the darkness. If you were asked to be a bridesmaid, you knew what your job was. Your job was to wait and be ready with your lamp. So if a bridesmaid shows up for her job, not prepared to do the absolute bare minimum, it's kind of like, what is wrong with her? It's like she's expecting somebody else to do her work for her. Jesus clarifies that that mindset is foolish. In contrast, I don't know about you, but I was raised with the message that unless you set yourself on fire to keep other people warm, you're worthless. I internalized that message so deeply that I thought it was gospel truth. This gospel says that if someone wants to take something that I need because of their thoughtfulness, they're foolish. My world taught me that if someone needs something that I have and I don't give it up for them, then I'm mean, I'm unkind, I'm being unchristian. Until like the past 5 years or so, I just didn't really get this gospel. Shouldn't the bridesmaids with oil give up their oil, just like Jesus gave up his life so that we could have life? It's our job to know how to do our job and how to cooperate with God to get the stuff that we need to do our jobs. Secularly, this is just another way of saying boundaries. I'm responsible for my stuff. You're responsible for yours. We're not entitled to another person's resources. Their lack of stewardship does not make me mean, but entitlement makes us fools. But what would have happened if the wise bridesmaids had shared their oil with the foolish bridesmaids? The oil would have run out. Nobody would have had the resources to do their jobs. What happens when we don't have the resources we need to do what God calls us to do? Well, it's a fallen world. Sometimes we believe that because we legit have a job to do, then that responsibility entitles us to other people's resources. We try to take oil that's not ours. What on earth does this have to do with poor boundaries around food? My disordered eating, mainly binge eating, developed and stuck largely because the resources that I needed to do the job of becoming the person God designed me to be, those resources got depleted by others. So when I was a child, I had zero control over that. But unfortunately, that meant I became an adult who acted like it was my job to give others all of my resources, to be overly responsible for them, to have poor boundaries. And when I didn't have the resources that I needed to take decent care of myself, because I'd already given all of my comfort to others, and thus I was in a lot of pain, I had to take comfort any way I could manage it. And how did I manage that? When I was alone, nobody could stop me from eating all I could. And food is designed to comfort actual pain, hunger pain, but it is designed to comfort pain. And so, fallen world, we misuse all sorts of comforts, and I am no exception. A big part of my living without compulsive food behaviors is taking responsibility for my resources and stewarding them wisely so that I don't inadvertently put myself in pain that my body's old scripts think I need to comfort with food that I don't need. I need to make sure I have enough oil in my lamp and leave other people to take care of their own lamps so I don't become an oil thief. Does this resonate with any part of your story? Have you been overly responsible for other people's feelings and been taught to set yourself on fire to keep them warm? What was that like for you? What's that like now? And if you've used food to soothe the pain of your own over responsibility, check out my link for Filled with Good Theology of the Body for Food Addicts. New cohorts are forming for October.